To thrive as a rugby player, it's the same as any other job or profession. It simply requires to be fully present, clear, aware, and ready. And I guess it comes down to what ready means, and that means sort of strong owning the space you stand in, but also have relaxed sort of spontaneity and creativity about the way that you move. And in terms of mental, it's about the clarity of being able to have the space of absolute intention about what it is you want to achieve, but also the adaptability and flexibility and creativity to find the best way to get there according to what's happening around you. So it's exactly the same as anything else. Maybe there's a few things that are different, like running into people. So it doesn't happen in every profession. So, there's a certain amount of training that goes into that, but from a physical perspective, mental perspective, it's the same thing. I think the side of motivation that makes it most simple is when you're motivated about finding out or exploring your absolute potential of what's capable for you and what's possible. Everything else falls underneath that umbrella. So if you go to the very top, everything else is infused by that same passion. If you have that passion and energy for deeply revealing what life can be for you, nothing else can take that away. And in fact, everything else only stirs it and sparks it. And the greater the challenge, such as losing or things not going away, unexpected, the unintended, the sort of strong resistant emotions, all those kind of things become just a greater trigger of that passion. Because you become more excited about celebrating challenge, you become more excited about investigating your resistance, you become more excited about those limits and what might be on the other side. So in fact, actually, it's a certain degree of invincibility. Whereas if you get what you want, that's brilliant. But when you don't, that's even better. The idea of resilience belongs to a certain fixed identity that sort of says, this is who I am. These are my dreams. These things are right. These things are wrong. These things are good. These things are bad. This is a good life. This is success. This is failure. And if something doesn't fit with that or knocks me back, then what I have to do is get back up and fight for what I originally decided. It seems to be a courageous concept and all those kind of things. And there's a definite degree of persistence in terms of needing to get back out there and express yourself. But the version of resilience I have is very different in that understanding that who I am is constantly changing. And if you're in control of that change, then that's your resilience. Because what's underneath who I am cannot be touched. That doesn't need resilience. Your self-worth, your potential, your being cannot be impacted by anything externally. It's on a different level. And as a result, if you're able to touch that space, what it means is that you can be creative with who you are. And so therefore, when who you are faces challenges, you're able to adapt, recreate, invent who you are to come back brand new and fresh, which is a completely different idea to resilience, which is this idea of as a fighter taking more and more bruises, getting back up, weary and fighting on. Whereas what you're doing now is you're coming back completely brand new and fresh with all the same learning you've had before, but just able to attack it with a childlike passion and enthusiasm, and with a youthful kind of teenage exuberance and vibrancy, but with an experience of an older person, but you do it fresh. And that's the concept of people talking about, life gets harder as you get older. It does if you're remaining as the same person, because you pick up your knocks and that gets older. But who we are is just an idea, and if we're in control of that idea, then that's your resilience. It's going back to and this is a lot of the exciting opportunity about this topic, is that the very nature of becoming entangled with the idea of who you are, that level of infinite being becomes tangled with a finite idea of who I am, with boundaries. And as a result, what happens is you lose, it feels like if I lose, I liken it to wearing a shirt. If you've put a shirt on and suddenly you become that shirt, like a lot of sports people do, you put a shirt on and you become that shirt. So then when you retire at the end of your career, you feel completely lost because you can't take that shirt off. And now you're walking around the streets wearing your sports shirt without a game to play. And you feel completely lost. You don't fit in. It's a bit like you become a fixed plug and someone moves the socket and gives you a new socket that you don't fit into. You just can't charge. You can't feel those experiences. And when you become entangled with that shirt, the idea of taking it off, or someone taking it off you, injury, not being picked for your team, being, end of your career, retirement, all those kind of things, it feels like the end of me. And as a result, that shirt is full of your reputation, your wins, your losses, your this, your that, and everything. And as a result, in every situation, because you don't have experience of being anything more than the shirt, you're trying to save the shirt, you're trying to survive. And therefore, in every experience, the mind has no choice but to explore the question, what about me in everything? Will I be okay? And therefore, that survival is pressure. Pressure isn't inherent in the world. There is no such thing as pressure. It's not a real thing. It belongs to it when you've got caught up with who you are and you can no longer afford to lose who you are. Now you're under pressure. But if you're able to explore every experience and you remain curious, knowing that actually, like we said before, if I get what I want, it's going to be amazing. If I don't, it's going to be even better. Where's the pressure? There's no such thing. Where's the fear of failure? There's no such thing as failure. When you understand that real challenge is what triggers deeper shifts of revealing potential, then you want challenge more than you want success. And as a result, there's no such thing as pressure or fear of failure. But fear of failure, it's been banded around as being a real thing that exists because everyone's tangled up with their identity, knowing that, okay, we understand there's pressure in physical survival. Definitely, if you haven't got anything to eat and there's a certain degree about earning money to get food or to running away, the pressure of running away from a predator, you have physical survival. But what we're talking about here is mostly psychological survival. What people think of me, what will people think of me if I lose this, and letting people down, all this kind of stuff. And that's where pressure exists. It doesn't, it exists in those ideas. It doesn't exist in the world. And sort of exploring those ideas is what allows you to realize that the difference between anticipation and the beauty of nervousness and that kind of on edge feeling of really living versus being anxious and fearing failure is really just one definition away. It's one experience away of just realizing that I'm bigger than my shirt and I can take it off at any time, put a new one on as well.